Hello Cancer, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business, also as a teacher of astrology, and I've got 30,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this video on your cycles for July and August 2014. Now what I'm going to do for you Cancer on this video is to first of all tell you a few things about yourself so that you can get an idea of astrologically how you're perceived by the universe, and also your conditions and events in your life that you'll experience on a lifetime basis, and something in there about your personality and so forth. So that just gives you an idea about who you are and where you're going in life, what some of your tests are in life and what your natural attributes are and so forth. Then I'm going to look at the cycles of your horoscope for you. First of all, I'll look at Saturn and Jupiter, the slower moving bodies, and look at them and the impact that they're having in your life in July and August and beyond. And then I'll lay things out on a timeline for you with the faster moving planets from the 1st of July onwards right the way through to the end of August, with the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars. So you just sit back and relax now Cancer and enjoy the journey here with me. First of all, I just want to run through a few things with you. I'm what you might call a spiritual astrologer. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm all the time praising God and that sort of thing? Well, what it means is an esoteric astrologer is somebody who looks less at the conditions and events that you're experiencing and more upon the impact that those events and conditions have upon your consciousness. Because after all, that's where we're all at. We're all at in our consciousness. And what's the point in knowing that you're going to experience a health crisis if you're not given the tools with which to handle that crisis? What's the point in knowing that you're going to have a period of difficulty with your money if you're not given the tools in order to be able to handle that? And after all, your experiences in life and the handling of the money and the crisis with regard to money, when all said and done, it's not so necessarily the conditions and events in your life, but your reaction to those events and conditions that determines what sort of impact that those events and conditions are going to have upon you. So this is where the esoteric astrologer, the spiritual astrologer, looks more at the consciousness side of things. So let's just take you on a little bit of a journey here to let you know the nature of the reality that you find yourself in. We're all in a space-time rule set, and that space-time rule set is something that we have come into incarnation time after time after time into this space-time rule set, because we're all signed up for a number of incarnations until we reach a level of relative perfection, and then we can move on into higher dimensions of consciousness beyond the human level altogether. But what it means is that you've lived hundreds of lifetimes, Cancer, to get where you are today, and you've been given some beautiful gifts by God and Goddess. God and Goddess have given you the gift of eternal life. You can never ever die. And they've also given you the gift to be able to consciously create all the events and conditions in your life. Now, problem. Most of us don't want to accept that responsibility. Most of us want to be able to say that the conditions and events in my life are not my doing. They're the doing of mum or dad who let me down, or that teacher or that abuser or that ex-boss who fired me, or that ex-spouse who let me down and deceived me, or whatever. So I'm not the one to blame, they're the one to blame. And whilst ever you're holding on to that, Cancer, then you're going to keep yourself stationary there in that set of circumstances and conditions. So the object of the exercise is to be able to change the conditions and circumstances in your life and take back your power. God and Goddess have given us all the power to create our reality in accordance and compliance with our conscious choice rather than our subconscious choice. You see, we're all developing our conditions and events in our life with the same raw materials. All of us have the same raw materials, and they are our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, and they sponsor decisions and choices. And those attitudes, beliefs and thoughts and feelings are sometimes not very nice. So we have a whole bundle of attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings. These attitudes are not very nice sometimes. We have attitudes that we don't, and beliefs that we will never succeed, that we're unlovable, that we're not worth anything, that life is a financial struggle for me, and relationships don't work out for me. We have problems with our self-esteem. We have low self-esteem, problems with our self-image, and so forth. So all of these attitudes and beliefs are the things that are creating all the events and conditions of our life. So it's not a matter of saying, well, I'm not creating the events and conditions of your life. Yes, you are, whether you're conscious of it or not. You're creating all the conditions and events in your life through these raw materials. And we mould and shape these raw materials into the conditions and events in our life, Cancer, with 3 tools. Nobody has any different tools. And those tools are our desire, our imagination, and our expectancy. So what can you do if you have conditions and events in your life that you're not happy with? You can't continue to point the finger of blame at this one and that one and to say that they're to blame, because if you want to do that, you've got to keep those conditions there so that you can keep on blaming. The idea is to say, okay, I'm going to let them off the hook, no matter what they did to me, and I'm going to take back my power to create the reality. And so what you've got to do then is to work with those raw materials, Cancer. Those attitudes and those beliefs and those thoughts and feelings. Look, we've got continual thoughts and feelings there. We have 50,000 thoughts a day, Cancer, and many of them are very repetitive. And so we're pumping up these thought forms, and these thought forms are living in our aura, and they are triggered off into events and conditions in our life through the movements of the planet, through the houses of our horoscope. So if you want to change your conditions and events in your life, you have to change those raw materials. And how do you do that? You do that simply by changing the direction of your thinking processes and changing the way that you feel about life. And you do that over a period of time through the science of meditation and through introspection and reflection. And this is where my teachings are going to come in for you, is to give you the power there and the tools with which to develop those raw materials into something better, attitudes and beliefs that are better and healthier, and that your thinking processes are along a better line of activity than the line that you're allowing them to go. The name of the game, Cancer, is consciousness expansion. We are all in the game of life, and we are all in the game of expanding our consciousness. So this is the task at hand. You're a lot more conscious now than what you were when you were an adolescent. When you were an adolescent, you made a lot of mistakes in life. And now that you're an adult, you're a lot more conscious and awake and aware and alive about what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you than what you were when you were an adolescent. Well, the object of the exercise is to continue that expansion of your consciousness into your spiritual adult. And that's a stage of our life that all of us are growing into. So what I'll do for you now is to go through a few things with you. First of all, I'll tell you a few things about yourself, because that's always enjoyable. You're a very home-loving person, Cancer, very family-oriented. You've got a very vivid imagination, a very retentive memory, a tendency to dwell in the past at times perhaps, but you're very family-oriented. That's very important to you, and to have a home that you can come home to and put your feet up after work and so forth and feel as if you belong to a family is very, very important to you. Now, you're very self-conscious about your finances and your sense of security in life, and you've got a proud disposition. You don't like to reveal the truth to people about your financial circumstances if they're dire. So you want to get stuck into improving your finances in life, and you've got a take charge attitude there as far as that's concerned. But you do keep a lot of things to yourself as far as your situation financially is concerned, and you're very proud, and you like to have nice things, nice clothes and nice things. You're very meticulous mentally, and very careful about what you say, and you communicate in a very loving way, Cancer. You communicate in a soft and gentle way with people mainly, and you can be a little bit judgmental though, and a little bit critical of their negative patterns of behaviour, and you're very clean when it comes to keeping the car nice and clean, and very meticulous about keeping records and getting the car serviced when it needs to be serviced and so forth. Now, you love music around the home, Cancer, and you love to entertain around the home. You love artistic things around the place, little statuettes and knickknacks. You're all the time seeking balance and harmony around the home environment, and you like the place to be nice and quiet and peaceful and so on and so forth. Now, you're highly sexed, Cancer, and you are attracted towards the water, so you like swimming and you like boating and things like that. You've got a high sex drive, so you've perhaps jumped into a few hasty relationships early in life based on your physical attraction and your sexual attraction. Now, you can experience some unhappiness there to do with your sexual nature, and you can experience some mystery and some intrigue there as well. You can find yourself embroiled in a secret relationship because you do love intrigue when it comes to the romantic side of your life and the sexual side of your nature. Now, you work with a number of people who are born overseas, and you could work with importers, exporters, publishers, printers, legal firms, medical firms, and there seems to be a possibility of you having a domestic pet, especially a foreign type of domestic pet. And there can be some religious involvement or some philosophical involvement with people that you work with at some time in your life. Now, you quite feasibly have delays and obstructions with regard to plans for marriage, Cancer, so that you might be planning on marriage and they have to be put off, those plans have to be put off or delayed, or they're obstructed in some way. You could marry somebody who's older than yourself, and perhaps somebody who's very practical and down to earth, somebody who's a stable sort of a character in your life. Now, what I'm going to look at now for you, Cancer, is I'm going to look at the location of Jupiter and Saturn. Now, Jupiter takes 12 months, Cancer, to transit through a particular house of your horoscope, and so that's quite a powerful influence there. And you've got Jupiter in the first house of your horoscope and has been there for the last 12 months. So quite feasibly you've had a tremendous urge in the last 12 months to expand your understanding, to expand and research and investigate things, and especially philosophy and things like that. You've perhaps been, whilst following this urge to expand your consciousness, You've perhaps had a journey overseas sometime in the last 12 months, and there's been a tremendous desire to become more of who you really are. There's been a lot of social activities in your life, and you've had a damn good 12 months, the last 12 months. Jupiter is now going to move into the second house of your horoscope, and it only changes houses once every 12 months, so this is quite a momentous event in your life in the month of July. So the 17th of July, Jupiter moves into the second house of money and your security and your finances and things like that. So that starts a period of 12 months which is going to be very beneficial for you financially. So you'll find that your finances will improve, Cancer, in this period from the 17th of July onwards, and that goes on for 12 months there then. Now Saturn takes 2.5 years, Cancer, to transit through a particular house of your horoscope, and so it's not going to make any changes of direction or anything like that in these couple of months that I'm taking into account here. And you've got Saturn in the 5th house of your horoscope, but it is in a retrograde motion, so what that means is that there can be some unhappiness for you in the last 12 months through children and frustrations with regard to romance, love and the social side of your life. And because Saturn is retrograde in your horoscope, it also impacts upon your relationship with your spouse. So things have gone adversely for your spouse in this period with regard to their health perhaps, or they've become very possessive and jealous in their nature perhaps. And you've also had a lot of frustrations and difficulties with regard to joint finances, Cancer. And you've also had difficulties, maybe there's been the death of somebody around you in the last 12 months, and there's possibilities too of a lot of problems with regard to making changes inside of yourself. You had a lot of difficulties letting go of habit patterns and addictive patterns of behaviour and so forth. Now I'm going to look at your faster moving planets for you, Cancer. There's the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on a timeline for you starting from the 1st of July. So I'll tell you where these four bodies are at the beginning of July, and then I'll tell you when there's a change, when either of them changes into a different house in this 2-month period, okay? So it's on a timeline like that. Now we start off the month, the 1st of July, with the Sun is in the 1st house of your horoscope. So to start the month off, you're going to feel very powerful and as if you're in control of things, and you've got a tremendous urge to express yourself and to put your point across and to commence and start projects and ideas, Cancer. Mercury is in the 12th house of your horoscope on the beginning of the month, and Venus is also in the 12th house of your horoscope. So what that means is that you've probably got a few insecurities there within yourself, mentally and socially as well, with Venus there too. So there's been some secret worries about money matters, secret worries about your health, secret worries about job and employment matters in this immediate period at the start of the month. Mars is in the 4th house of your horoscope at the moment, and on the 1st of July. And with Mars being in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's potential there for conflicts in the home, accidents and fires around the home, so be very careful with boiling water and things like that. And there's potential for conflicts and tensions through parents, illness or accidents involving parents perhaps, if they're alive, and also stresses and tensions to do with family matters and domestic matters generally. So there's an element of tension introduced into the home there at the beginning of the month. Now the first change that we have, Cancer, is Mercury moves into the 1st house of your horoscope out of the 12th house on the 14th of July. Now what that means is that you're going to feel a lot more expressive in your nature and a lot more confident about your projects and your things that you're planning and your communications and your dealings with your job and things like that. You'll feel a lot more confident from the 14th of July onwards. And Venus changes into the first house of your horoscope on the 19th of July. Now, when Venus goes into the first house of your horoscope, love and romance can come into your life in the following couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So if you're in the market for a relationship, certainly there's romance there potentially, and you'll feel a lot more loving. You'll feel a lot more outgoing in your affections and that sort of thing. And then on the 23rd of July, the Sun moves into the second house of finances, so matters relating to your security and your finances will come to the fore from that period onwards for 30 days. Now what that means is that you're probably going to be wanting to spend money, and who doesn't? And there's a focus upon your financial matters and possessions and so forth during that month. Then on the 27th of July, Cancer, Mars moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, so that can bring stresses and tensions involving children, accidents involving children. It can bring stresses and tensions into the romantic and social side of your life. So there can be conflicts with people that you're involved with romantically, and whilst you're out on social functions, you've got to be careful not to engage in arguments and things like that. You can be impulsive with gambling if you've got a gambling streak in you when Mars is in the 5th house of your horoscope. Now on the 1st of August, Cancer, Mercury moves into the second house of finances. So you're going to have a take-charge attitude with regard to money. You're going to be that much more communicative about financial matters. And your mind is going to be going on to financial matters and matters relating to your security from that time onwards. Now on the 13th of August, Venus moves into the second house of finances, and Venus is a blessing wherever it sits. So with Venus in the second house of finances for 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to bring an improvement for you financially. But you'll also be wanting to spend money, Cancer, I can assure you. So you're going to want to be laying out money on some material possession or an appliance or a new outfit or something like that. Now then on the 16th of August, Mercury moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, Cancer. And when Mercury moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, you'll be a lot more expressive and communicative, especially with relatives and neighbours. And you might want to be buying and selling things, and there's going to be a lot more communication using your hands too. You'll be very expressive and communicative using your hands there during that time. And the last one we come to, Cancer, in the 2-month period is the 24th of August, when the Sun moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope. Now when the Sun is in the 3rd house of your horoscope, which it remains there for a month, you're going to want to be having a lot more communication and activity socially with relatives and with neighbours. There'll be a focus upon motor vehicles, and contracts and agreements can come into the orbit there as well during that time. And that's as far as I go for you, Cancer. Now where do you go from here? Just to wrap up, look, I'm happy to do your horoscope for you so that you understand more about who you really are. You are a giant spiritually. So first thing I suggest is that you get your horoscope done. Now even if you've seen the main video of mine on the whole of 2014, it doesn't matter. Get your horoscope done, because once you get your horoscope done through my website, through the Your Horoscope page of my website, www.mysteryofsirius.com, submit your birth details there and I'll send you your horoscope, and that tells you where your ascendant is or your rising sign, and that's very important. I'll do that for you free of charge. And then that gives me an opportunity too to send you 12 CDs out of my book, What Really Matters, my first book, What Really Matters, on astrology, meditation and reincarnation. And I get so much feedback from people who are into those CDs who assure me that their lives are being changed by those CDs, that their perception on life is completely different than what it was, and that I have the gift of being able to explain abstract concepts in a way that can be understood and integrated into your understanding. So do that, and then if you want to have your horoscope number 2 done, which is not just to do with your sun sign or your rising sign, it's to do with you individually. And all of your planets are taken into consideration in that. It's a 20-page printout that I send to you by email, and you can then read that. 20 pages all about you. There won't be another person born with the same horoscope as you, Cancer, for another 25,000 years. So you're quite an individual. Someone who's born 2 hours different from you has a completely different set of conditions and circumstances in their life, and a different set of tests in their life. All of us are in life to grow and reach and stretch and become more of who we really are. We've been given the gift of eternal life by God and Goddess, who love you, and they know your name, and they want you to become all that you can be and more. So for only $10 you can have your horoscope number 2 done, which tells you all about you individually and what sort of test that you've set for yourself in this particular incarnation, and how you can make the most out of your raw materials and your tools. So let's work together as a team. And then if you want a more personal horoscope done still, I can do your personal reading for you, tell you all about the past few years and the conditions and events, when you had changes in your job, changes in your residence, journeys overseas, even where you got scars on your body, using my voice. And then I go into the future for you. Well, what that does for you is, if I'm accurate with those conditions and events in your life from the past, it gives you a tremendous awakening to the validity of astrology. All of us are on a journey in consciousness, and the name of the game is consciousness expansion. So you can get stuck into my intensives and all of my videos, subscribe to my videos, and I'll be happy to send you the link for all of my 125 videos. And that's all free of charge. 12 beautiful CDs out of my first book, free of charge. 125 videos there for you, free of charge, so that you can expand that consciousness of yours and become more of the giant that you truly are. So all of us are on the same path of growth and development. And you can turn those events and conditions around from the unhappy events that you might be experiencing to the positive events and conditions over a period of time. And in the meantime, if you can't change them radically, you can change your perception, the way that you respond and you react. You can change the impact that those conditions and events have on your life. So I think I've said enough here anyway, Cancer, and it's nice to have this opportunity to be able to talk with you and to share my expertise. The name of the game, Cancer, is to develop wisdom. You're never going to develop wisdom just through experience, and you're never going to develop wisdom just through an intake of knowledge. It's a combination of experience and an intake of knowledge that out of that synergistically comes wisdom, a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. And it's only through wisdom that you are really going to expand your consciousness to the point where you are in line with what your soul wants you to do in this incarnation, to become more of what your soul wants you to be and what your higher self wants you to be. Your higher self is that piece of God and Goddess that you are becoming. It's an eternal journey. The name of my second book is Coming Home, an Eternal Journey. And all of us are on an eternal journey of forever becoming more of who we really are, forever expanding our consciousness and beyond the human level altogether in time. So thank you for your attentiveness here, Cancer. I look forward to working further with you should you decide to submit your birth details, and let's have some fun together and grow and reach and stretch together to become more of who we really are. Thank you.